You have been told there are two different types of muscle growth. Sarcoplasmic, apparently temporary just pump, and also myofibrillar or real dense muscle. And most people believe that high reps equal fake size, while heavy weights equal real growth. But there is a problem. The biggest, densest bodies in bodybuilding history didn't trend that way. So either they were all wrong, or everything that you have heard about sarcoplasmic growth is. Because if you get this wrong, you are going to end up training for years, lifting heavier and heavier, and still not get muscle size that you have expected. Or worse, you build size, but then you lose it quickly. And then you say, oh, it was sarcoplasmic growth. But what if that idea was wrong? And in this video, I'm going to show you what these two types of muscle growth are, why they are not separate the way that you've been told, and how to train in way that build both consistently. Because once you understand this, your entire approach to training changes. Most people think that they are choosing between these two types of muscle growth. So either they're going to lift heavy, low reps for dense muscle for myofibrillar growth, or they're going to do higher reps for size and pump. But that assumption is where everything starts to go wrong. They believe that sarcoplasmic growth is actually just fluid, glycogen, water in the muscle cells, while myofibrillar growth is actual contractile fibers. And from that, they separate training into two worlds. But here is what they are missing. The muscle doesn't grow in isolation. Every time you train properly, you create tension, you create fatigue, and you create metabolic stress. And those don't act separately. They simply overlap. So let me simplify this. If you contract muscle under load, you are already stimulating fibers. There is no pump-only training. So regardless of how many reps you do, if you do this in proper form, you will stimulate muscle growth simply because you will stimulate those fibers in order to resist the gravity, hence load. So let's define them properly because this is where confusion starts. Now let's start with myofibrillar growth. So myofibrillar growth is increase in contractile proteins. As you know, they are muscle filaments, contracting filaments, which are called myosin and actin. So myofibrillar growth is actually increase in size of contractile filaments, myosin and actin. This is actually the machinery of the muscle. And this is what gives strength, density, and that hard, compact look. Now, when it comes to sarcoplasmic growth, this is expansion of the muscle cell environment. So the whole content of the muscle cell grows due to sarcoplasmic growth, meaning everything within the muscle cell, glycogen, water, and enzymes. And this gives muscle fullness, volume, and that round, pumped appearance. But here is the key. One does not exist without other. If the muscle is working, it is using energy, it is storing energy, is adapting structurally, and always both. So here is where you actually make the decision. Most people think low reps build real muscle, while higher reps suggest something, they call it pump. But look what actually happens. If you train within the range of 8 to 12 reps for upper body muscles and 12 to 20 reps for quads, as I advise, with control, with tension, you stimulate both the contractile fibers and the energy systems within the muscle. This is where you get density, fullness, and consistent growth. Now, compare this to sets of, let's say, 3 to 6 reps. Yes, you're loading the muscle heavily, but you are limiting time under tension, fatigue, and also metabolic demand. So the stimulus actually becomes very narrow. And that means that you actually bias towards strength and fiber recruitment, but you're not maximizing the full growth response. And this is what happens with people when they do these very heavy weights in very low number of reps. Yes, they can become stronger, they can lift more weights, but this is not directly related to muscle growth. They are simply limiting that full growth response, which they will have if they perform, again, 8 to 12 reps for upper body and 12 to 20 reps for quads. So the choice is yours. Either you train in a way that actually stimulates everything, or you train in a way that limits the outcome. Now there is another big misunderstanding. A lot of people believe that if you stop training for a week or two, you are going to lose that sarcoplasmic growth immediately. So they say, oh, myofibrillar growth, which is achieved once, will not go as quickly as sarcoplasmic growth. So the guys who do higher number of reps will lose that muscle within a week or two if they stop training, while the others who are not doing that, but are doing just very heavy weights with low reps, they will not lose the muscle if they stop training for a week or two. Well, for some this may sound logical, but think about it. If you stop training for a week or two, what is going to happen? Your glycogen drops, which is unavoidable fact. Also, water amount from your muscle cells will drop due to glycogen drop. And your muscles will look flatter. So people say, oh, this is just because of sarcoplasmic growth. This is why muscles disappeared. But this is the mistake. That appearance is not structure. You're not going to lose your muscle within 7 to 10 days. You may lose fullness, but muscle stays. You don't lose anything. So the idea is that myofibrillar growth is actually the real growth, which will give you the muscle which will never disappear, while the other one, sarcoplasmic growth, is simply fake. And once you stop training for a week or two, you will see that your muscle will disappear. And as I just explained, regardless of sarcoplasmic or myofibrillar growth, if you stop training for a week or two, you're not going to lose the muscle. You're going to lose that thickness, the volume of the muscle, simply because your glycogen and water will drop. So look at yourself. If you stop training for a week or two, a lot of you have done that, you realize that actually you lose that fullness, that pump of the muscle, simply because glycogen was gone and water was gone. So what happens then? You come back to the gym, you train for 2, 3, 4 days, and everything is back again, back in place. So if the muscle has disappeared, there is no way you're going to build that muscle again in 2, 3 days. So what has happened? Your muscle has simply adapted. It never disappeared. Muscle was never lost. So neither myofibrillar nor sarcoplasmic growth are questioned in this case. It's simply water and glycogen retention that has gone lower because of your inactivity. Now there is another important thing that you should ask yourself. What actually creates muscle growth? Not categories, not different types of growth, simply stimulus. And the real driver of that growth is mechanical tension over time. It's not just heavy weight that a lot of people do, lower reps, massive weights, lift heavy, but rather controlled tension. And if you lift too heavy, you lose control and tension shifts away from the muscle. And this is why so many people, and I see them every day in the gym, who are really performing with some extraordinary weights, they don't look impressive. They're not big, they're not full. They're simply just ordinary looking guys, some of them even skinny. Now, if you lift with control, the muscle will stay loaded for longer and more effectively. So that simply builds fibers, energy systems, and structures. And most importantly, I remember this, training with control, with the right time and attention, training that will allow you to achieve optimal mechanical tension over the period of time, will develop both types of growth. So if you do 8 to 12 reps for upper body muscles and 12 to 20 for lower body, especially quads, you will achieve both types of growth, period. Now let's talk reps, because this is where most people actually get stuck. Once again, I advise for upper body 8 to 12 reps, for quads 12 to 20. And now question arrives, why is this rep range the best? Because this rep range, if every rep is performed anywhere from 3 to 4 seconds, simply allows for full control, full tension, and optimal fatigue. So within that time frame, if every rep is performed within 3 to 4 seconds, and you do 8 to 12 for upper body and 12 to 20 for your quads, you will simply stimulate both types of growth. Not just myofibrillar growth, not just sarcoplasmic growth, but both of them. When you come towards the end of your set, before you finish that set, before you hit that near failure 1 or 2 reps, in last 3-4 reps, you will be heavily stimulating myofibrillar growth because the tension is very high in those last few reps. And this is why the set that lasts anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds or 90 seconds, depending on which muscle group, that set will allow for optimal sarcoplasmic growth and also myofibrillar growth. So we are not talking just about pump or temporary size. We are talking about the real muscle adaptation. And muscle will adapt in both ways, by increasing the sarcoplasm, the volume of the muscle cell, and also by increasing the size of contractive filaments, which are myosin and actin. So why are so many people believing that high number of reps is just sarcoplasmic? Oh, if you do high number of reps, too many sets, you're just going to be pumping the muscles. Well, a lot of people did it. In golden era, everybody was pumping muscles, and none of them has lost that muscle for as long as they were doing it. So what is the problem there? Why do you think that high number of reps is only sarcoplasmic but not myofibrillar? But again, if you perform anywhere from 8 to 12 reps for upper body and 12 to 20 reps for quads in controlled manner, in perfect form, and also in full range of motion, you are still loading the muscle and creating a lot of tension, which will result in stimulation and growth of your myofibrils. So what happens? Your muscle fibers, they adapt, energy systems adapt, and also structure adapt. And that means, again, you are developing both types of growth, not just one. So what is the real mistake here? The real mistake is that because of the lack of knowledge, lack of experience, and also because of so many trends that are actually favoring, in recent years, especially for whatever reason, I don't know, but they're favoring these very heavy sets, limited number of sets as well, relatively low number of reps. And people simply started believing that there are two different types of growth. And if you do one system, then you will achieve this, which is going to be real muscle that stays there forever. And if you do high number of reps, high number of sets as well, you will just pump that muscle, and that muscle will simply disappear. One day you stop training, even for a week. So people think about division there, about heavy only training or pump only training, but they simply miss the point. The real approach is neither of them. The real approach is controlled reps. First of all, you have to do every exercise in perfect form, because if you don't, there is not going to be tension then. Then you need sufficient volume. You need X amount of sets and X amount of reps, and I have explained that in many videos. Also, you need that consistent tension. Whenever you perform the set, you must not stop. You don't lock at the top of every pressing movement. When you do squats, you don't stop at the top, as almost everybody is doing. You just constantly go up and down and keep that tension uninterrupted. And this is how you build density, fullness, and lasting muscle. Once again, so many people did it in the past, and almost every single one of them did it high volume, meaning high number of sets with the number of reps that I have suggested, 8 to 12 reps for upper body and 12 to 20 or even more for quads. And here is the truth that most people don't understand. Muscle doesn't grow in categories. When you perform every set, as I have advised, with right number of reps in perfect form, there is no set that only builds sarcoplasmic growth and the other one that will only give you myofibrillar growth. So every set that you do, as advised, will actually give you both type of growths, because they cannot be separated. There is only stimulation and adaptation. And when done properly, both happen at the same time. So guys, after 40 years in bodybuilding, competing 46 times, winning 17 titles, and coaching over 3,500 clients and help them to get in the best shape of their lives, I have published for you 12 ebooks which are fully loaded with everything that you always wanted to know about bodybuilding. So if you want to start finally building muscles, burning fat, simply click that link below in the comments and you can download my ebooks. Also, I have published for you Bodybuilding Blueprint course, which is made of 8 videos in which I personally demonstrate and explain the most effective exercises for major muscle groups. So if you want to learn how to train properly without wasting time, avoiding injuries, and growing your muscles as fast as possible, my Bodybuilding Blueprint course will be your best choice. Again, if interested, simply click that link in the comments and you can access my Bodybuilding Blueprint course. If you have enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, like the video, share the video, and also send me your comments. And until the next video, I wish you all the best.